start now. Today's talk is on your strengths. Focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. If you look at life, when you see how you think, when you observe yourself, notice how you deal with people, especially after you've been with them for quite some time. In the beginning, everything is very lovely and very nice, but after a little while, you start to notice all their weaknesses. When you start to notice other people's weaknesses, it's a sign that you are also noticing your own weaknesses. When you start to look at other people's strengths, you start to see your own strengths. Many times, and even the Bhagavad Gita, the war. In the war, what do you have? 100 brothers that are jealous of the 5 good brothers. And this is very symbolic of our mind stuff. Our mind stuff is very much like this, because this is all mind stuff. We're really spirit, we're really soul, but the mind gets in the way continuously. So we have maybe 100 bad thoughts or negative thoughts, and maybe 5 good thoughts. And on a daily basis, we are battling. So the practice of yoga is to come to that point where you stop battling, you start witnessing your thoughts. And while witnessing, it's about self-transformation. We try to transform ourselves, those negative thoughts, to be who we really are. Because who are we really? Really beings that love love. Deep in our hearts, all of us love. Deep in our hearts, we love all the good traits, the kindness, the generosity. All of us love those things. So when we are missing those things in our life, then we become weak. And then we start to notice our weaknesses. And so be very aware of it. I'd like to read to you something from the Bhagavad Gita about being yourself really and knowing who you are. It's chapter 18 and is slokas 45. And it talks about perfection. How can we be perfect in this world? As you know, most of us are so worried about what people think we are and how we appear to them that we forget who we really are. And most of our lives, we try so hard not to be what we really are, but to try to be somebody else. Oh, we like this. I'd love to do this in my life. Yes, maybe you love to do it in your life, but maybe that's not what you were meant to do with your life. Maybe you're meant to do something different, but because you admire, you like it, you think this is what you have to do with your life. And here the Bhagavad Gita makes it so clear, and I'd love to read it to you. Anyone can attain perfection by devoting himself to the work that comes naturally. I will explain how. When you do the work that by your nature is your calling, you are worshipping the Creator of all beings who is omnipresent, and thus you attain perfection. It is better to do your own dharma. Dharma means your duty in life. It is better to do your own dharma imperfectly than to excel at somebody else's dharma. Whoever accepts the duties of his own nature is free from sin. And what does sin mean? Obstacle. If you perform the duties of your own nature imperfectly, that is no reason to abandon those duties and begin something else. For all your undertakings at the outset are enveloped by evil as smoke surrounds fire. What does he mean by that? I'll read to you Gurudev's explanation. He says that whatever you undertake is enveloped by evil. Why? Because it's your personal undertaking. You choose to do it instead of letting it come along naturally. Let nature move you along into different classes. You don't have to leave one class on your own and go sit in another. Grow gradually. Natural growth is best. You may not even be able to see your own growth. I've seen this in my own experience. I never consciously chose to reject another way of living and becoming a Swami. People ask, why did you renounce everything and become a spiritual seeker and a Swami? I didn't. Even now, I wonder at what point I was put into this. It just flowed from one stage to another. I was just guided. It wasn't that I consciously chose something and rejected something else. Just trust nature's hand. Let Mother Nature shape you. Allow her hand to work. She'll take care of you. So, you see, many times in life we become so impatient. We want it now. We want this to happen now. And we always think that what we are is never good enough. This is really talking about self-esteem. You don't trust the duties that what comes naturally to you. Oh, it can't be good enough. I remember when I first taught my first class, my first ever class in Gibraltar. We're going around the room and everybody was introducing themselves. And this woman said, well, somebody was saying I was a secretary, somebody was working with a business. And this woman said, well, I don't do anything. I said, what do you mean you don't do anything? She said, well, I'm just a simple housewife. I don't have a job like everybody else. And she looked so sad about it. And I go, do you know what? That's the hardest job in the world. A housewife, you have to juggle so many things. The cooking, the cleaning, the accounts, your children, changing clothes, taking them to school, doctors. There's 1,000 things a housewife has to do. And guess what? It's actually the best job of all. And then she goes, why? I said, because you're investing in the future of a soul. Every other job you do, either one day you'll be fired or it'll be the end of your career. It will be the end of your career. Sooner or later, you'll retire. But bringing up a child never stops. Isn't it true? It never stops. It's a soul. You're nurturing a soul. So please never put down who you are and what you are just because the world says now all women have to work. Do you know? We were born, each one, with this nature. What comes to you naturally? What comes to you naturally? For example, Shanti, may I use your example? It's good to know somebody so well for 25 years, isn't it? Because you can really choose a good example. As you know, she's wanted to be a mother for a long time before. When I first met her, she had 2 miscarriages. She suffered greatly with another 2. She had 4 miscarriages in all. And, now Shanti's never been particularly very good with children, in the sense that she loves them all, but she doesn't know how to control them. When she taught the children's classes, they controlled her. Shanti, we don't want to do hatha yoga today. One day I came in, found them all dancing around the garden. I said, the mothers didn't send them to come dancing in the garden. The mothers sent them to learn yoga. So we had a great laugh at this. And then she said to me, and this has taken years for her to learn. And she said, Nalanie, really all along I suffered so much, but now I know it's the greatest blessing of all. Because my nature is, I really don't have what it takes to be a mother. I remember one time, right, you were with me and Talia. Talia is my special needs granddaughter. She was throwing up and she was with me for 2 hours. She goes, I don't know how you do this. I don't know. What do you do when she throws up? And I was laughing. I said, you see the blessing? Do you know when you can see the blessing? She wasn't meant to do this. That's why she didn't get pregnant. That's why she had 4 miscarriages. Many things happen to us in life and we fight against it. Why has this happened to me? I want to be like somebody else. And when she could see that, really see that, she goes, every day, every time she sees me, I'm so blessed. When she asks me, what did you do weekend? I saw my grandkid. I'm so blessed. I'm free. Do you see? And she took with that, she understood the real truth as it was. Because the truth is, nature knew what was best for her. But while she was wanting somebody else's dharma, I want to be a mother, I want to be a mother, she couldn't see it. She only saw it when she couldn't be a mother. And then she saw what all the mothers were doing. And her nature is such she could not have been a mother. She would have been too nervous. And how nature really gives us exactly what we need in life. And she's doing what she should do, which she loves. She's joyous. Everybody, she makes us all laugh. We all love her because this comes naturally. She loves people. She actually loves people. She loves traveling. She loves movement. You know, being stuck at home, God, she couldn't have done it. So this is what comes naturally to you. What is natural to you? And this is really important to see. I think for me, this is the most important thing to see. Many of us take on jobs because we are told we have to make a living or we have to do this. If you're going to take on a job, it is really important to take something on that you love. Even if you're not very good at it, and this is what we're saying, even if you're not very good at it, it's better to do what comes to you easily rather than take somebody else's job which you struggle at, because you will never be in a flow. You will never be comfortable. You will never have peace. I remember a long time ago, I was teaching somewhere else, and a young girl, beautiful young girl, she said, "Oh, Nalanie, I want to do what you want to do. You're doing." And I go, "Great, fantastic, study the sutras, study this, read." We need lots of Raja Yoga teachers in the world. This world needs to grow spiritually, and let us help as many people as possible. Anyway, I came back 2 years later, and she came to me and she goes, "Nalanie, I tried to teach, nothing is working, nobody turns up." So I go, "Maybe this isn't your nature." And I said, "You're very young. Maybe you haven't had the experiences." You know, this is about 10 years ago, and I was 52 at that time, and she was maybe 28. I said, "Wait, it's not your time to do what I am doing. It's not your time. What do you love doing?" "I love to do what you're doing." No. I'm not asking that you love what I'm doing. What do you love doing? What is your nature? By your nature is natural. What do you feel natural? What do you love? So, "Oh, I love working in drama. I like dance. I love teaching dance." So I said, "Then why aren't you doing that? Why are you thinking you have to do what I'm doing? It's not your time to do this, otherwise it would work." But you said nobody turned up, you get nervous, you don't feel comfortable, you're worried about how you appear. I said, if you do what I'm doing, you can't worry about how you appear. You have to be totally detached from it. Because sometimes you might make a fool of yourself, and sometimes you may do things right. You never know when you're talking about the spirit. She goes, "Yeah, I realize it's not as easy as it looked. It looks." So I said, "But for me it's easy. Do you see? And I love it because it's natural." So she said, "What should I do with my life?" So I said, "See, you love dancing. You love to help people. Why don't you get a group of children together in your neighborhood and raise something for the kids in your neighborhood that can't afford something. Do something for charity. Try it out. Because you're doing it for charity and you're offering your services free just to try it out, see if you're good at it, then you don't have any obligations towards anybody. You're not a failure. You're doing it for fun." And she did it, And then she realized that she was wonderful at teaching. And then she became a drama teacher and still is today. And now it's so many years later. And I do believe that in a couple of years she will be doing what I'm doing. But she needed to do the process. Do you see? We need to have a process. We have to know what we are, and sometimes we have to do certain things to get where we want to be. It doesn't happen overnight. There's so much to learn in between. And in between we have our karmic duties. You have young children, she had young children. That is also a beautiful duty. It's include your children in everything you do. So, because we don't recognize our strengths, we want somebody else's strengths to be ours. Because we don't recognize our weaknesses, or we look too much at it, or we deny them, we never get things right. So when I work with people who have low self-esteem, the first thing I do with them is I say, what are you good at? What are you strong at? We're going to do this later. You must have a feeling in you. What do you love to, what comes naturally to you? For example, I'll give you an example. My granddaughter, the middle one, she was in a lovely school. Not that she did badly, but in the last couple of years, my daughter started to see that she was losing her character. She's getting a little down. And her character is a little kooky by nature. When she was young, kooky in the sense of very arty. She'd be doing things that were a bit out of the box. Or she'd wear clothes that are a bit out of the box. And you can see there's a flair in that kind of person. But of course, the school she was in was very traditional and very academic. So she was studying, but it was drowning her spirit. And my daughter came to me last year and said, Mom, I see her, not herself. She's frightened to be arty. So anyway, she made the inquiries. She went to see quite a few schools. And she moved her in October to Soto Grande International School. What a difference. She's allowed to do her art. Oh, she's done some beautiful paintings. She just went in October of last year. You know, she's never studied French, and she got an award for French. She got an award for art. And she's talkative again, and she's full of flair. And yesterday I said, took them out for lunch, and I said, what can I get you? I didn't get you an Easter present. I don't want Easter egg, Granny, but I want to make, she's always making cushions and always making things. I'd like to make something, so I need some spray paint. It's only going to be about €5. And so it was so nice to get, she got the spray paint. No, don't buy this bottle, it's expensive, because I'm going to paint it and cut it. So buy the cheapest one you can find, Gran, because, we don't want to spend more than that. So do you see the excitement, going home and doing that, rather than watching, being on her phone? She's creative. She's really good. She's really good. So now she was talking yesterday. She said, but Mom, I love theater. I love dance. I love the art world. Isn't it nice to know what she wants? And then she had a worry. But how am I going to make a living? Because everybody said you can't make a living without art. And I go, how do I make a living? Loving life. She said, yeah, Gran, it works with you. I said, there is an energy that works. There is an energy that works. And then she said, Gran, you're the happiest person I know on this earth. So I said, why am I the happiest person that you know on this earth? Because I do what I love to do every single day of my life. Do you understand this? So, in the beginning, when I first started this work, there's always doubts, oh my God, what if I do something wrong, da-da. This is normal in anything you start in life. Anything. I didn't even want to do this job. That's the odd thing. I didn't ever want to be a teacher. But I didn't know what I want. I worked in a shop, helped my husband, because we needed the money and he needed my help. I was good at it. I was great at it, but I felt something was missing. So I decided to teach dance in the afternoons because I used to be a dance teacher. I loved it, did great, then my knees went. So obviously nature said, no more dancing. So what do I do? What do I do? And then I came to a place, who am I? And then I started taking yoga. And then after 5 years of taking yoga, my master calls me, when are you going to start to teach? I never want to teach, Gerd, I want to be a student. I don't know anything. 3 times he calls me in 1 year. And then I get a dream that says I'm a coward and I have to teach. So sometimes your dharma takes a long time to come to you. But it came to me and I said, okay, I give up. I'll book a room, I'll teach, nobody will come, and I'll stop. And that was when I was 39. I'm 62 now, so it's been a lot of years, right? And it never stopped from that moment. It just increased. And what I did notice that it must be my dharma because it flows naturally. I never struggled. Yes, in the beginning there was a bit of fear, but never struggled. So then you know this is your dharma, whether you want it or not. Whether, I don't want to give up so much of my time, I was a bit selfish, then you realize, no, it's what's given to us by the divine, do it with love. So like that, each of us have something, some magical thing in us that is our dharma. But it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be, take the image of what you think it should be, but rather allow it to come up and happen to you. Allow it. And if you allow it, it will talk to you. But it will take time for you to fulfill it. It will come with a learning. It may even come with resistance because the mind will tell you, no, this is what I want to do. I want to be a student for the rest of my life, and I still am. That doesn't mean I can't be. But maybe being a student was learning from other people while I was teaching. Do you see? Maybe that's the only way I could learn. Not from books, but I had a preconceived idea. So when you don't have a preconceived idea and just allow nature to take its course, don't get impatient. Really, this is the secret. This is really the secret of your strengths. Don't get impatient. Watch. Observe your mind. What is it telling you? Is it pushing you to do something? I don't really feel like doing that. Everybody goes, but you should take this course, or you should do this, or you should do this. I'm not comfortable. Don't. Because there's something that is negative in that feeling. If it is, you should take this course. I'm scared, I'm fearful, maybe I'm not good enough, then do it. Do you see there's a difference? There is a difference. One is fear, and we have to overcome the fear. And fear comes from lack of self-esteem. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm too weak. Maybe I can never do this. That's where fear comes from. That's where I came from when my master called me to do it. No, I'm not ready. It came from fear. I'm not capable of doing this. I'm not good enough. I'm a student. Do you see? But it's not about what you want or what you don't want. It's about who you are. And once you know who you are and what's come for you to do, we all come with a human mission. We say this over and over again. And we seem lost in the mind stuff. What is my human mission? But I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. I tried this. This doesn't work. Not meant for you. Good. You tried it. Doesn't work. Shows you. Should I try hard? Yes, keep trying. But if you try, and it doesn't work, let it go. Because, we've been brought up, try, and if you don't succeed, keep trying, right? And I asked my Gurudev about this again. When we were in the business, and my husband's working hard in the business, would be good, up, down, up, down, up, down. Frontier open, frontier closed, liners come, liners don't, it was always like that. So I asked my master, I said, Gurudev, we work so hard. What are we doing wrong? And his answer to me was so clear. He said, Nalanie, if you plant a seed and you water it and you look after it and you put it in the sun and it doesn't grow, what would you do? I said, I don't know. Keep watering it? He said, no, plant another seed and start again. It was so easy, so clear. Sometimes, you have in English, don't flog a dead horse, right? You know what that means? Don't flog, don't hit a dead, it's gone. You keep trying. And also the ability to change and move is a great strength. It's the greatest strength, adapting, adjusting, accommodating. But it's easy to move sometimes physically, although most people have huge panic attacks when they move. Honestly, they get so stressed out, I've seen, when they move. And they're actually moving somewhere better. They still get stressed out. So people find it difficult to change. But also, don't fear your emotional growth. That's the worst one. Sometimes you have to let go of old emotions. Most of the time you have to let go of old belief systems. Many times you have to let go of what you think you are. Because really, all of us are divine and all of us are perfect. And what is yoga? Yoga is chitta vritti nirodha tada drastuye swarupe vastanam. The restraints of the modification of the mind stuff is yoga. And then the Siya abides in its own true nature. Once you learn to quieten the mind, you really see who you are. And all of us are shining spirits inside. All of us come from the same source. So no one is better than the other. We just have a different covering. We have different personalities. We have different emotions. And I love the way Sri Swami Satchidananda explains this. He says, just imagine you have a big piece of wood, and then the maker takes the piece of wood and cuts it into two and opens it up. Oh my God, he goes, now we have a chessboard. Have you ever seen those chessboard with a piece of wood? Okay, chessboard, nothing happening here. So then he starts to make black and white. Ooh, now we got duality. Good and bad, up and down, win and lose, right? All the duality. Oh, duality, nothing is happening. So let's put some action in it. So he makes the pawns, not much happening. All from the same piece of wood. And then he carves some more, and then makes the bishop, and then makes the king, then makes the queen, and now we've got a game, all from the same piece of wood. But very different. And then when you finish the game, somebody wins. Good luck, bad luck, who knows? One day you win, one day I win. You put the pieces back into the curves in that wooden box and you close it and it's one piece of wood again. And I love that explanation when Gurudev said that, you know. And this is what we are, from the same piece of wood, different performances. And you know, in the Bhagavad Gita, I love the Gita, and we will do the Gita one day. And it says, wherever you find excellence, you find me. Wherever you find excellence, in whatever field, you find me. And I'll give you a very simple story, which I've told before, that my master told me, that really made my head think in the early days of yoga, because I wasn't really sure I understood it then. But it's so clear. There was a Swami, you all know what a Swami is, right? A monk. And he was meditating under a tree for a long time. And they say with meditation, you get great gifts like clairvoyance, clairaudience, lots of what we call siddhis, powers, with the practice of meditation. So one day he was sitting and a bird came and pooed on top of his head. And then he goes, "How dare you, bird, do this to me? May you burn." And the bird, poof, burnt. Literally burnt. Power. He gained energy and power. So it went to his head, oh my God, look at me. I'm really advanced now. I have this siddhi. So he goes to the next village where he always goes every day, where he asks for food. Because in India, you know, these swamis, they don't, people feed them. So he goes to this woman's house that he goes every day to. But this day, he was a little different. Now that he had a siddhi, now that he was powerful, he went, woman, give me my food. And she opens the window and she goes, Swamiji, don't speak to me like that. I will give you your food. you cannot burn me like you burnt the bird. And he was thinking, how did she know? It was miles away that happened. So he was very curious. She came out and he said to her, tell me, how did you know that happened? And she goes, I don't know how I know. I just know. I just saw the vision. What do you do? What do you do with your life? She goes, I just do what I've been given to do. I just do my dharma. My dharma is, my husband is a sick man, so I look after him. And that's my first job. And I just love to look after him. And I give you food. And I get these images. How do you get them? I don't know. If you really want to know more, go to the butcher in the next town. He knows more. And then he thought, just looking after her husband and she can do this? She understands this? Dharma, doing your own dharma without complaining. Anyway, so he went to the next town and he went to the butcher's shop and he thought in his head, what can I learn from a butcher? Eating meat, isn't that a crime? He should be a vegetarian. What can I learn from this meat man? So he was judging him already. What should a Swami do? Not judge, accept, adjust, accommodate, but he was doing all those other things. So the butcher saw him there and said, Swamiji, how can I help you? He said, no, I need to speak to you. He says, Swamiji, please forgive me. I have work to do. Let me finish my work because there's nobody to run the shop. When I finish, I will take you home and buy you a meal. So he waits for him. He watches him doing business like everybody else. What's going on here? What can I learn from this man? So he went, the butcher finished, took him to his house, made him sit down, gave him a cup of tea, and then said to him, I need to look after my parents. I'm going to give them a bath, give them something to eat, and I'll make dinner for you. So the Swami sat there. When the butcher finished, came out and talked to him, gave him a meal, a vegetarian meal. And he goes, how can you, butcher, feed me with vegetarian when you deal with meat? He said, I am a vegetarian by nature. I love vegetables, but this is my dharma. My parents had this shop all their lives. It was handed out to me. I do the job really well, and I make enough money to look after my parents, to feed them, and to feed me. So I continue to do my job. Non-attachment to the dharma, no judgment. And then the Swami goes, but the woman in the village said, you have a lot to teach me. What do you know? Anyway, then he started a big discourse about doing what comes to you naturally, without judging it. So many times we judge too much. We judge too much. Are you seeing the picture? Do what comes to us easily, naturally. But in order to do that, we need to also be a little aware of where our weaknesses lie. Physically, emotionally, spiritually. We all want to be spiritual, but do we spend the time? Do we have the discipline to practice every day to be more spiritual? Do we do it? It's not enough to talk about it. Do you do that? And then physical. What are your strengths and weaknesses? What do you do with your gifts? How do you approach your gifts? And third, your emotions. Are they all over the place? Are you fickle? Are you concentrated? Do you change from one thing to the other? Somebody tells you something, the next thing you do another thing. Somebody tells you another thing, you do. Are you steady? Okay? So with that, we will finish the talk, and now we will do the exercises.